Hello, World Seed community, and thanks for joining us today for this live Q&A session. Now, wherever you are joining from, and whatever time it may be in your area, there is one thing that unites us all. It's 24 days to go until the opening of the World Seed Congress in Cape Town, which will be taking place from the 5th to the 7th of June, 2023. I'm Jean-Paul Judson, and I have the pleasure of guiding you through this Q&A session, but particularly also, I am looking forward to meeting you all in Cape Town. Now, there are many reasons why you should be joining this Congress, but aside from all the business and trading that brings seed people from around the world together for 3 days, you will also get the opportunity to hear from leading voices in the seed sector, in the agri-food value chain, and in policy making. Voices that are shaping the debate on regulatory and policy matters of direct relevance to plant breeding and seed production. Today, we have the ISF Technical Team joining us from the ISF headquarters in Switzerland. Hello to the team. They will be giving us a glimpse into the panel sessions that will be taking place in South Africa. So if you are working in policy or regulatory affairs, this will definitely be of interest to you. But if you are working in business development or research or trading, I would say maybe even more so, because in a very short, condensed period of time, these panels will provide you with a lot of information to help you anticipate the future of the business. So before we go a little bit deeper into each of the different panels, can I just ask Michael first, how is the Congress shaping up? Where are we at? What are we to expect in South Africa?
Thanks so much, Jean-Paul. Really great to see you. Very excited. I'm so excited to go there by your words. First of all, hello to everybody. And I think, as you said, 24 days we have to go. Shared root, greater heights. Roots, greater heights. That's what we are looking for. I think we are knowing from where we are coming. We know the importance of the seed business. And in recent years, we understood also it's even more important, and perhaps many of you saw also, we are increasingly facing hunger in the world. Just last week, a new report was published. I think we have to engage. We have to engage together. And as you mentioned, the whole seed community is coming to South Africa. When I'm saying the whole seed community, it's absolutely exciting that we had a dream some years back to gather together perhaps 900,000 people perhaps in South Africa, but we will be nearly 1,300 seed people from over 56 countries joining us on site. It's absolutely exciting to see. We had even to add trading tables. What means adding trading tables means also more business. That means also in Africa, more business is happening and more opportunities. And I think in this sense, it's exciting to see that we can build engagement and we are looking to build engagement, because also the whole range of seed actors from around the world is coming to see, hey, we are in Africa. What is also our future, perhaps business opportunity in Africa? And therefore, diversity of seed people from Africa are coming. I would just to highlight, also representatives from Malawi, from Rwanda, from Zambia, and many, many other countries from Africa are joining us. Senegal, for instance, or Nigeria. I think this is also showing there is some dynamics. We need more dynamics. Shared roots, greater heights, more people, more diversity. In a couple of days, we all will be there. Totally exciting. And now let's discuss also the panels, because it's also about content in Cape Town.
Okay, so a lot of interest, clearly, and indeed it's the opportunity to shine a light on all the activities in Africa in relation to plant breeding, seed production, but also then obviously to address these big global challenges that are common to the whole seed sector around the world. So there are a number of panels that we will be going through in Cape Town. We'll be going through each of these right now. Obviously, for those who are in Cape Town, well, you'll be able to follow them live in the room. They will also be live streamed through the channel World Seed. So for those people who will be attending online, you will also be able to get a glimpse on all of these discussions. So I'd like to go first then to this first panel, how to enhance farmers' access to quality seed in Africa. Hélène, this is a panel that you have been thinking about, you have been building. Why is this panel important? And why are we talking about this now at the Congress?
Thank you, Jean-Paul. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, this is a very important panel for ISF because we are going to be in Africa, and it's probably one of the continents where access to quality seeds for farmers is really a struggle. So we wanted to see how we can help build a more resilient and sustainable system for farmers to access quality seed. And we will have very interesting introduction, first of all, by AFSTA. The president of AFSTA will be there, Kulani, to present us the state of access to quality seeds for farmers in Africa. The panel will also be an opportunity to showcase many initiatives which are taking place in Africa, and I'm thinking particularly of a new initiative where ISF is engaged with the NGO Fair Planet. We are going to present you a bit more how Rwanda is the place where we are going to act together and where seed companies can also be involved, and this will be a great opportunity also to help seed companies to maybe see how they can be more engaged concretely. We will also have a very interesting perspective from a farmer, because it's also very important to have their voice. And also it will be the new organization called One CGIAR present with us. We know the CGIAR for many, many years, but now they are really reshaping the way they are working to really shape the regulatory, help shape the regulatory system for farmers, especially in Africa. So this will be, I guess, a very interesting panel, and it will be indeed the first one of Monday afternoon. So we will really start the Congress with showing what is the situation in Africa and how we can all work together for farmers.
Okay, brilliant. So that'll be a first panel that already sets the scene that, you know, many of the topics that we'll be dealing with, we will be looking at the specific African context around that topic. But at the same time, we also keep an eye on the global picture. There's another panel that you're involved with, Hélène, which is, I think, rather provocatively entitled, "Is there a role for breeders in UPOV 91?" Which sounds like a very bizarre question, because UPOV seems to be rather built for breeders. So why are you questioning whether there is a role for breeders in UPOV?
Yes, thank you, Jean-Paul. So this panel will take rather a higher perspective. We are not, we will of course discuss about Africa, and we have the great pleasure to have Patrick from Tanzanian PVP office with us. But we will take really a higher perspective to see what is the role of breeders in implementation of UPOV 91, because we've been questioning in the last month, or the recent years at least, really how we can work together. We feel that there is a bit of distance between PVP offices and the private seed sector. So we really want to see how we can better work together. As you said, a UPOV system was made and was proposed by the breeding community, and we really want it to be still a powerful IP tool to protect innovation, to deliver quality seeds to farmers once more. So what can we do better? And we will also have the great pleasure to welcome Peter Button, who is the current Vice Secretary General of UPOV, but retiring very soon in the coming month. And he will reflect on his 20 years of engagement at UPOV Secretariat and how he has been working with the private sector. And we will be very happy also to get his perspective on how we can do it better. So we want to learn from them, and that's why we have two PVP offices with us, the Tanzanian one, as I said, who will give the African perspective on IP, but also the Japanese PVP office, very involved and working very closely with the plant breeding sector. So we are very happy. And we will get also the perspective from a breeder. Marima will be with us from South America, providing again also her perspective. So it will be a very interesting panel who will definitely shape the discussions that will take place in ISF in the coming months and years, because UPOV is a great tool. This is really the favorite tool for ISF members to protect their varieties, but we need to make sure it remains a great tool in the coming years. So that's why we are very eager to talk about this topic.
And this is obviously a key topic for anyone thinking about the development of new varieties, which is obviously the core business of the seed sector. So, please bear this panel in mind. And indeed, we will also have the 20-year reflections of Peter Button. So a lot of interesting information, very likely in this panel. Thank you, Hélène. If you have questions on either panel or more generic questions, type them in, and we'll be taking them on board. That's the whole purpose of being live. So I'm checking all these comments, and I will definitely put them to our ISF secretariat. Now I will now turn to Rose. Rose is in charge of a couple of panels as well at the World Seed Congress. Now the first one I'd like to talk about is digitalization in the agri supply chain. So this is quite a broad, big picture view on the whole agri-food supply chain in relation to digitalization. What are you expecting from this panel, Rose?
Well, thank you so much for the question, Jean-Paul. I really expect that we can learn a lot from all the different organizations that we have been lucky to be present on this panel. I think there is a lot happening on this particular sector, which has been highlighted since the pandemic of COVID-19. Digitalization tools has already happening for a long time, but actually it has got much more known by everybody, much more promotion since what's happened with the COVID, because we wanted to continue moving plant and plant products and to be able to reach all the farms across the world. And actually it was digitalization that helped, that supported this to happen during such a difficult time. We're expecting to learn the lessons that is already happening on many different organizations. We have Leanne Jackson from OECD, where she will talk about the efforts of that particular organization with digitalization, but also some reports that they will be preparing that will be of great knowledge and information for us as the seed sector. We also will having a representative from IPPC. We have Mr. Craig Fetchock, which will be talking about the electronic phytosanitary certification, something that is incredibly important for us, because when we move seeds, we do need our phytosanitary certification to be able to reach the countries of sale or even the countries of re-exports when we are moving our products. And we'll be hearing as well from someone from the Dutch government, but he'll be representing Codex, and he'll be talking about all the Codex activities, and even a little bit as well from the veterinary, from the animal side. So we have Eric Bosker. He'll be talking about all his experience and knowledge on this particular topic. He has been working for many, many years on this. And we also will have someone from a private company working with blockchains, which is Mr. Alexander. So he'll be representing SS Docs, and he'll be talking about the technology behind and how much this technology has advanced and still will advance. So it will be important for all our members to be able to hear all the different technology that is coming and how this can support the movement of seeds. And finally, we'll have a CEO of BioAnza, John Peter, which he will talk from the business perspective side, how important it is to have digital tools to be able to facilitate business, how some of the current challenges can be removed by having digitalization on our side. So really, I'm expecting to learn a lot and to be a very open discussions, not just about seed, but about how we move plant and plant products across the whole supply chain.
Yeah, and this might also maybe challenge even the seed community to hear about some of the digital tools being used in other sectors. So is that also something that you'd like to get out of this panel, that the seed community reflects on what it could also do better in terms of its relationship either with public control or within the movement of seed internally?
Absolutely. I think there is a great opportunity to share the information, to get to know more, so increase the knowledge, and perhaps even be able to use some of these tools, which I use for other sectors, to be able to be used for us. And I think that this is the beauty of having digital tools, is that it's not specific for just one sector. It can be used to others. And why not, to be able to be of a great enhancement and tool for the seed sector to be able to continue doing its business.
Okay, brilliant. So that will be a focus on digitalization. There is another panel that you're involved with, Rose, which is phytosanitary frameworks and strategies in Africa and beyond, plant health, seed health. Why are these issues vital for the seed sector, and why should people come to listen to these speakers on the panel?
Well, as much as we want to talk about all the other very important topics, actually, if you do not meet the phytosanitary requirements of the country you're trying to move your seeds, I'm afraid that your seeds is not going to be able to pass. So for us, phytosanitary requirements is very important. And I think we needed to address some of the current challenges, some of the disharmonization and additional declaration, and some other issues that we are facing every time we wanted to move the seeds from the different countries. So to be able to understand and to hear from representatives from the World Bank, so Shane Seller talking about all the efforts that the World Bank is having in Africa on trying to implementing not just the trade facilitation agreement, but also the sanitary and phytosanitary agreement, which is the SPS agreement. I think having an understanding of which kind of frameworks are already happening in Africa and how other organizations such as the World Bank is doing, has making an impact, and which kind of strategies we want to looking forward, but not just on the African continent, but also outside. I think this is going to be a great learning for us all, and hopefully to be able to build this bridge between the private and the public sector as well. This is why organizations like the World Bank is so important. We also are going to be hearing from the head of the SCDF, which is housed at the World Trade Organization, so Mr. Melvin Spray. He'll be talking as well of all the different projects that the SCDF is already funding in Africa, and what more this can be done, of course, with the support of the private seed sector. Another person that will be with us is a representative of the World Vegetable Center, and he will give a much more broad and perhaps even local view, because he is based in Africa, so he can tell exactly which kind of issues and what is happening on the different countries, how much phytosanitary challenges it is really important for some African countries, but also how much we can collaborate and work together to be able to solve some of them. And finally, we have David Malan, which is the CEO of a seed company based in South Africa. And so this is going to be really interesting, because he'll be able to share with everybody firsthand, which is his experience, his challenge, his difficulties. And to be able to share this, we can all work together and we can see which will be the strategies we can, of course, with the support of ISF and all the seed sector.
And David, who definitely, made a mark of inviting people to Cape Town, I recall last year in Barcelona. He made a great appeal to the seed community to come over. So that'll be a really interesting panel, and indeed really vital to the movement of seed to ensure that these phytosanitary frameworks are as harmonized as possible. So if you sometimes struggle with moving seed around the world, this panel might be for you. So mark it in your diary. Another topic then, if I turn to Ben, we have a panel on the value chain, agri-food chain value opportunities in Africa and beyond. So why are we talking about value chain approaches here? What does this actually mean, Ben, and why should people attend this panel?
Thank you, Jean-Paul, and greetings, everyone. A great opportunity indeed to explain further what we want to achieve with this panel session. We do have indeed the opportunity to bring some great speakers on board for this specific panel on the engagement also of the seed industry within the agri-food value chains. And value chains is a very broad concept, and we also want to look at that from different perspectives, from different crop types, but also from different geographical zones. So that's why we'll have a focus on Africa, indeed, but we will be looking beyond that within a global perspective. But first of all, when we talk about agri-food value chain, everything starts with seeds, but with farmers. So we'll have a chance to bring a farmer representative, Stephen, from Africa, that will also explain the added value of high quality seeds and new improved variety into the value chain, and explain also how the systems ecosystem around distributing food is organized or should be organized, taking some examples from his country or from the continent. But we also want to bring some other players, producers and retailers, taking the opportunity of having a very active potato companies in South Africa, with really explaining how the distribution of food and potato in that case is organized in South Africa, with food distributors, food retailers to reach out final consumers. And this is a very important element, but because when it comes to distribution of fresh produce, it's important to have a very well organized ecosystem around the producing area, but also to reach out the consumer where they are. That's why the global perspective will be interesting in that sense. And Tamara will be there to explain also from her experience and expertise from the fresh produce industry, but also with the sustainability angle, how in other countries, in other parts of the world, the agri-food system around fresh produce is organized. And this is a very important also element to take into consideration when we talk about efficiency of agri-food system. We will also bring Gerald from Kenya that will explain the role of grain trading, how it is organized in Eastern Africa, on the continent, but also with a very interesting perspective from a global angle. And we know that grain commodities is also a very important topic today, so that will be very interesting to look at what is the situation today in terms of movement of grains within this industry, and how the seed industry is playing a role in that respect. We'll end with also a testimonial from a national seed association, Rachel from France. She will also explain the different initiatives taken at the country level within a regional dynamic, also with her background working in with cooperative agribusiness fora, to see what is currently being done from a country, but also what could be next within an international scope. And that's also why we will explain in the scope of some new working groups within ISF, with ISF members, both on the sustainability angle, but on the engagement of the seed sector within the value chain, how the seed industry is playing an important role as a starting point, but also how the seed sector is willing to engage further with some identified stakeholders and actors to be more visible, more active, and also part of the game when we talk about agri-food value chain. So a lot of interesting insight from different perspectives, as you can see. So happy to welcome all of you on site or online to also address some of the questions you might have in terms of your perspective and business. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, because it's already a big job to actually get to a performing variety and to get that seed, multiplied and produced. And then it's still another job to ensure that there is, in fact, an end market in the end for those crops, for those products that result from the seed. And the seed sector also has a role to play there. But it's a lot of work. And so that's also why this panel is important, because we all need to think about how do we achieve this level of value chain cooperation beyond the lab, if I may say. So that's an important one. So mark that one in your diaries. And talking about labs, talking about research, let's then go to Hola's panel, Plant Breeding Innovation, Hopes, Dreams, and Reality. I quite like this title, Hopes, Dreams, and Reality. I hope reality is as close as possible to hopes and dreams, but I don't know, maybe you think that's not quite the case. Hola, why is this panel important?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. So, as you know, innovation is critical for the seed sector because breeders need to take farmer demands and consumer demands into consideration. And why are we talking about hopes, dreams, and reality? Because we want to work the panel through different angles for plant breeding innovation. As you know, breeding is not a new science, is not simple process, is not a rapid process, but with the advent of new genome editing technologies since more than a decade ago, the breeder toolbox has expanded, and we are able to create novel traits efficiently and in a targeted manner in the genome with a rapid process. So to date, we have really plants with novel traits made by genome editants already on the market, and we invited several panelists from the industry, from public research, from the policy sector, and also from the consumer to discuss all this, to share their experiences, knowledges, opportunities around plant breeding innovation. So the first aspect that we will discuss is with Henny Gronewald from Biosafety South Africa. He will guide us around the regulation in South Africa. Then we will have the head of AUDA NEPAD. He will talk us about the regulation in Africa in general, and then we have the opportunity to have Dan Jenkins, VP Regulatory and Government Affairs of a company in the US called Pairwise. They have really an exciting product that is already coming into the market, so it's a fresh produce. So he will talk about this, and we will have the consumer experience with Stephanie van der Walt. She is from the International Fresh Produce in South Africa. And finally, we will get the state of the science in South Africa by Bernard Slippers, who is professor at the University of Pretoria. So this, all panelists will give us the dynamic in various global and regional jurisdictions. And really, we want to have an understanding how the global seed sector can change these dreams, hopes into the reality. And as you know, there are a lot of challenges around this, especially when it comes to plant breeding innovation and genome editing in particular.
Okay, a lot of challenges indeed. So we'll try and address those in an hour in Cape Town. We'll do our best to get the most out of these panelists. But indeed, it's a challenging topic. But thanks for giving us that overview. And then we move to what will be, in fact, the last panel of the World Seed Congress, the annual forum of seed business leaders. Michael, can you tell us a little bit about that? I know it's a bit of a tradition at the World Seed Congress. So what can we expect in Cape Town this year?
Yeah, thanks so much, Jean-Paul. I think for us it's really interesting. We started this high-level business panel in Nice some years back. And it was totally exciting to get really feedback of the diversity of business leaders we have on, what is their vision? And somehow even what is the mission of the company? And let me start like this piece. Perhaps, perhaps companies have different missions, but at the end we have all one vision. And that's the joint vision of the seed sector. Making seeds accessible to all farmers. And I think the exciting one is, hey, we are in Africa. We could speak about all the challenges we have. We know we have many challenges, and the companies have many challenges to provide seed choice to farmers in Africa, for instance. But let's turn it in the way, let's think about excitement. How can we together build this seed resilience for farmers in Africa? You heard from Helen, we have an access to seed panel in the beginning. You just heard about the dreams of Kaola to make also somehow, we need innovation, but it's not innovation for innovation, it's innovation to support smallholders, subsistence farmers in Africa and everywhere in Africa. And therefore, is it not exciting to listen to two business leaders from Africa, with Amadou and Sylvia, who are leading companies in Uganda or in Senegal, but working not only nationally, but also regionally in Africa on a diversity on crops, to listen, hey, what is the reality today? What is handicapping perhaps also these companies to provide seed choice to farmers? What are the needs of the farmers for the future? But more interesting is also how they see market evolving during the next, not only months, it's years. And I think this is interesting also in the seed business, and therefore exciting also to share this with the most of the people. Seed business is not a short-term business. Seed business is a long-term business with investments. You start many years before you're bringing them to the market. And this market access, there it's interesting to listen, to instance, to Marco and Bupen, who are business leaders of companies acting globally. And globally acting is also, it's interesting. It's like benchmarking. They can tell us, hey, how is it in South America? How is it in Europe? How is it perhaps in Australia or North America? Yeah, but how is it also in Africa? Is it difficult to access the market? Where would they like to go on the market, but they can perhaps not go to the market because there's no enabling business environment? Or is it difficult to go to the market in Africa because they have no human resources there? How you can start build up also as a globally leading seed company business in Africa. That's what we're looking for. It's about sustainability, but sustainability also in the sense of business sustainability. It's about investing. Yes, we need to invest more. But this investment makes only sense if it's also at the end sustainably, also business-wise, for those for whom we are mainly investing, farmers. That means this access for farmers, this capacity of choice for farmers is the critical one. And therefore, there will certainly be also some discussions about the regulatory oversight in Africa, perhaps also in some key countries. And this is where we are looking for to get insights from African business leaders, but also from business leaders acting around the world. But again, all of them have one vision, making seed accessible to all farmers.
Okay, brilliant. So we'll be hearing from business leaders on that vision. We'll be hearing from a lot of business leaders across all panels. But as I said, it's not just about business. It's also about getting views from research, from policymakers across the whole spectrum. I would like to raise one question with each of you there at the ISF Secretariat, because we've been insisting on the fact that we are looking at these topics also in the context of the African dynamics around plant breeding and seed production. And I wanted to hear from you in the run-up, in the preparation to each of the panels that you are working on. Can you maybe reflect on something that you have learned, something that maybe surprised you, or something that you just didn't know before about that context that you might want to share with our audience? Also, I think to just trigger a little bit of interest, because if you get to know something new, very likely people in the audience will get to learn something new as well. So could you maybe share one little nugget of something that you've learned in your various topics as you are approaching these panels? Can I start with Ben?
Good, thanks. Yeah, I will say one word to answer your question is about diversity. And what was really interesting in preparing this Congress, and especially this panel, was to also look at the diversity of countries and how, the North and the South and the East and the West are, in some perspective, completely different, but bringing this opportunity to build on this complementarity in terms of structure, but also in terms of geographical, climatic condition, and also the way that different, in my context, agri-food ecosystem and value chains are organized, that all have their specificity and capacity. But diversity also in terms of actors and players. Here, interesting to look at the number of farmers that are involved in all the process, either organized in cooperative, either organized in small companies, family kind of farming, and also diversity of actors around those farmers in terms of enterprise business. That could be very small companies just acting in one region, in one country. That could be a national company that do have a bigger outreach. That could be continental or even international companies, especially in the seed sector, where we do see a diversity of enterprise companies, SME, large multinational, and that's what is creating this, good value for everyone, because everyone is playing a key role in his domain of competencies, domain of area. And same for plant breeding activities in cooperation with the public sector that do also have their role to play in terms of bringing the best new improved variety and at the end quality seeds to the farmer. So I think that was an interesting learning from this diversity in terms of a geographical business perspective, that at the end, as Michael mentioned, serve for the same purpose, to produce food enough for everyone to be able to also have a living out of that, to feed the population around the village, around the country, around the continent, and around the globe, and to help to end hunger all over the world. I mean, especially in being in Africa, that was an interesting focus there.
Okay, so people can definitely expect to get a broad diversity of perspectives, and maybe perspectives that they haven't necessarily considered before or heard about before that much. So that will be an interesting one. How about Rose? Is there something that you were surprised by or learned in the context of this preparation?
Well, I would say that is the extent of the number of interest and activities that happen on both topics of the panels that I have been directly involved. I think there is a number of initiatives, a number of interests from the very different sectors in private. And so I think that will be really interesting to bring this all into context in Cape Town for everybody to see that it is not just, they are not issues from one particular sector, but for many. And everybody is really interested and very passionate and really wanted to take both topics going forward. So I'm really looking forward to see this exchange of knowledge, exchange of experiences, and of course, building relationships and cooperation going forward.
Okay, so more on the projects, the operational side, the responses that are being taken by different actors to find solutions to help facilitate seed movement. Okay, that's a good one. Hélène, anything that you've learned, maybe also specifically from the African context, particularly in the context of the preparation for your panels?
Well, I would say that the word would be enthusiasm. I've been organizing ISF panels since many years, and I think it was one of the easiest years. Everything went very smoothly in the organization of panels, and really all the speakers were super enthusiastic to come to South Africa and to share their experience. ISF has not been in Africa since many years. I don't know. 20 years since we've been to Africa, and we could really feel the great enthusiasm for people from all around the world to come to South Africa. So that's what I would take, and I'm sure it will be a great Congress.
Okay, we'll be translating that enthusiasm in the room, I am sure. Khawla, it will be your first Congress, I believe. So how are you approaching this? What have you learned in this process that you think the audience might also learn?
Yeah, thank you. For me, it was really interesting to see the interest from the different parties. So the industry, the public sector, the consumer from the value chain, and also the policy actor was very nice. They were engaging and they want to come to South Africa to discuss with us all the challenges, all the opportunities that are behind plant breeding innovation. So it's really nice to bring them all together, bring all the actors and discuss how can we improve the system, how can we improve the regulation, what are the best regulatory framework maybe for Africa, maybe globally, and how the consumer are facing these new technologies, whether it is they are happy because, as you know, the consumers are somehow acceptance and expectation are regional. and there is no global consumer acceptance on this. So it was really a very nice experience to me, as this is my first panel that I'm organizing with ISF. So.
Okay, brilliant. So we have diversity, we have concrete projects, we have enthusiasm, we have regulation that is impressively scattered. I'll put it this way. So that's a lot of reasons to attend. Michael, I don't know how many congresses you've been involved with. I don't know how many, but maybe you can let us know. What makes this one, or what has made this one special so far in the preparation of these panels and in this very specific context where we will be in Africa?
Yeah, thanks so much. There's not so many congresses I made. I think it's only the 8th one. But first of all, let me start perhaps with our slogan, Shared Roots, Greater Heights. And I will link because I need to add something different from my colleagues here. For me, the first thing, and then allow me to use also this moment, first of all, shared roots, thanks to our colleagues in South Africa. The shared roots, the shared values to organize together with the South African Seed Association this Congress. It's terrific what they were able to do in terms of bringing people there, bringing sponsorship. I think that's really something really important. But let me add 2 words. It's curiosity and continuity. And continuity is for me, also by preparing the panel, listening to some of the panelists and preparing the whole Congress is this continued commitment of the seed sector in challenging environment to provide seeds to farmers. Yes, we had COVID, but now we have major challenges from climate change and even disruptive moments in terms of seed supply. But there was always this engagement and this will to continue to provide seeds, even in a difficult environment. And when I'm speaking difficult environment, yes, there are also discussions about the regulatory environment we have, in which we have to work on. Therefore, continued commitment. And at the same time, curiosity, the sense of curiosity to see how many people are coming to Africa, but also when you listen to the business leaders, yeah, they would like to understand Africa. What can I do there? I'm hearing a lot of business leaders from Asia, for instance, who would like to understand, hey, are there business opportunities also in Africa? And I think that's the interesting one. That's also where we think the Seed Congress is this unique and inspiring moment where we can fill gaps of understanding of what is happening in a country, but also build new relationships and opportunities for our members. And I think, therefore, yes, continuity, that's also, I'm coming back, we are continuing to innovate, we are continuing to provide seeds and all this, but at the same time, yeah, curiosity, yeah, we need new solutions. We know it, we need to continue to innovate. Different innovations are needed, but at the same time, yes, in terms of business opportunities, but also the whole business environment, which is changing. And I think that the capacity of the seed sector is really related also to our capacity to stay curious.
Okay, brilliant. We'll end on that note of curiosity. Thank you so much for having shared the insights on the panels, expectations on the panels, also learnings in the run up to the panels. So hopefully that gives a lot of food for thought for people wondering whether they should be attending the panels. I think it becomes obvious, not just because it's a fantastic location, but also because there is fantastic content being prepared for you. There have been people joining from the Netherlands, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, from Cameroon, from Nigeria, India, Afghanistan, South Africa, Indonesia. I see Sweden as well. So thank you all for joining this session. I would say now that it's time to register if you have not done so yet. You go to congress.worldseed.org, check everything out on that website. All the information is there. You can still register until May 26th. It's been a great pleasure to take part in this Q&A. I'd like to give a final view of the ISF Secretariat and maybe give them the final word. For me, it's see you very soon in Cape Town.
Join us. Come.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.